Well, the Chicago Bulls lose yet another game. This time, falling to the Brooklyn Nets in their opening game in the in-season tournament, the inaugural in-season tournament. And this was another loss where the Bulls just did not execute well down the stretch of this game at all. And it's really unfortunate because the Bulls played well in stretches of this game. And they just did not have enough to come down the stretch of this game and win it. And they deserve to lose this game. This was a winnable game. Let me be clear here. This is a game that was very winnable for the Chicago Bulls. And while, that shot by Levine, I know there's going to be a lot of people that completely kill him for that shot. It's hard to get off a good shot with 4 point whatever seconds left on the clock. But could he have slowed down a little bit, thought about it a little bit more? Even when that initial foul, DeMar DeRozan takes a shot down the stretch with his foot on the line as well. It just sucks that the Bulls continue to lose games where they just don't execute and just other teams have more than them. Keep in mind, this was a game where the Brooklyn Nets were missing two major pieces of their roster, right? Is it the most, or was it the highest two scorers on their team or anything like that? No, it wasn't. But Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson are important parts of this Brooklyn Nets roster, and both of them were out, and the Bulls still lost this game down the stretch. A game where Patrick Williams plays really well coming off the bench, performs pretty solidly in his time. 21 minutes for Patrick Williams, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 10 points. We're talking about games in which Patrick Williams plays 28 minutes and doesn't sniff those type of stats. Kobe White has one of his best scoring days on the season so far. He goes 7 of 17 for 18 points with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. And then you have you have Zach and DeMar both over 20 points, even though not hugely efficient nights for either one of those. DeMar goes 9 of 20 for 24 points. Zach LaVine goes 10 of 21 for 24 points. So, it just comes down to this. The Bulls shot much better in this game, 48% overall from the field, 39% from three-point range. But one of the things that key separation between the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls in this game was the fourth quarter execution. While the Brooklyn Nets did not shoot the ball well in the fourth quarter as far as from three, they do go from three-point range 4 from 11 in this for 36%, right? While the Bulls go 66% overall, but it's just more threes. The second half of the game overall, the Brooklyn Nets in the second half go 7 of 24 from three-point range. The Chicago Bulls go 2 of 11. Once again, simple math really hurts this team a lot. Was it all just three-point shooting? No, it wasn't. But this team the lack of execution down the stretch for this team just continues being the thing that sticks out so much in regards to this team. So much. And so, as this team continues to try to maybe figure some stuff out, it's going to take so much more from this team to really bring it together. So much more. Yeah. And here's the thing when it comes down to it. At some point, AK has to ask himself, and I get it, right? I understand even the visual of it, right? But you have to really ask yourself, is it worth? And this isn't because it's all on him. Let me be clear here. What I'm about to say is in no way putting all the Bulls struggles on one player, one aspect, or anything. But you have to ask yourself, is bringing DeMar DeRozan back worth it? Right? Is it worth it? And again, this isn't to blame because DeMar is still a hell of a player. But you have to ask yourself, you have an expiring contract. You can't go into the luxury tax because ownership isn't going to allow it. Do you look to maybe do something to change up the mix-up of this roster a little bit, right? And if he looks at that question and says, no, that's not what he wants to do, I'm willing to risk losing DeMar DeRozan in free agency but I tell you what, there's no way that they're coming to a contract extension talks. It's just not happening. It's not happening. I tell you what, I know DeMar has said the things of, I want to retire here in Chicago. I know he's also said, I'm going to let my agent work out it. I don't even want to know about it. But at the end of the day, do you really think that DeMar DeRozan, on the twilight of his career, after just passing Larry Bird on the all-time scoring list, does DeMar DeRozan really want to sit around here and wonder if they're going to even make a play-in where he can go and join a championship team, right? You got to start asking yourself the tough questions. And the problem that we have overall as well is, do you trust AK to be the guy to find the answers to that question? Because if you say no, you're absolutely valid in that. If you say yes, there's absolutely reasons to say yes in that as well. But the tough questions have to start being answered for this team. They got to start answering the tough questions soon. They have to. They have to. The only thing that's been consistent with this team is consistently struggling. And that sucks. That really sucks. Yeah, and to get outplayed by teams consistently because they just want it more than you. I said it over on Chicago Bulls Central is this. And maybe it's an oversimplification, but I just got to be real here. You have to ask yourself, when you look at other teams, and as a Chicago sports fan, right? We respect hard work and effort, right? I said it on Central. Is that I lost my point there for a second? I'm getting old. I said it over on Central. Is that we would respect a team that fights hard, that competes every single night, that we see that they give a damn, that they're playing hard, and that gets 41 wins. We would respect that team more than a team that has no heart but somehow gets 45 wins. The team with heart we will respect and look more fondly on every single night. This team has no heart. And when it gets going and things get tough, you can trust that the Chicago Bulls, more times than not, are not going to be the team that plays with the most heart down the stretch of close games. And that, as a Bulls fan, sucks to be able to say that with a straight face and be 100% correct in saying it. It stinks. It stinks. But that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. And until this team starts being willing to find answers to the tough questions, this is what we got. This is our lot in life. That's why the title of this is what it is. And I should have titled it, "It's going to be a long season for the Chicago Bulls fans." Because you know what? I don't think this team cares. They can talk about it. I don't think that a lot of people on this team care. And that sucks, man. That stinks to be able to say that. But that's really what it feels like. Really what it feels like. Let's go ahead and get to some of you guys' comments. We got Anthony in the building. He says, "Here for me, Haize content. I appreciate that, bro." Lazy Bean says, shaking my head, "I'm still hurt." Listen, I feel you that. I feel you on there. Nathan says, same old season. There's literally no difference from this team since Lonzo got hurt. Here's what I'll say. It's different in the fact that they're finding different ways to lose, right? That sucks. Travis Andrew says it was a winnable game by the Chicago Bulls. It definitely was winnable. Definitely was winnable. Listen here, TBO. First of all, why you got pictures of babies on your profile? That's strange, bro. That's strange. That's worse than Dwight out here, bro. Because that's questionable. No, I'm just messing with you. TBO is my guy, man. That's a good guy. Bulls need to tear this stuff down. We ain't going nowhere with this roster. Trade everyone for picks and young players. But this team ain't going full rebuild. Football CF Candy says, on the real, though, how likely do you think Acme gets fired the next 3 years? My guess is almost zero. Plus 21-point differential from 3. I prefer not to speak. Listen, here's what I'll say is that most people who come in AK's role, they get 10 years. They get 8 to 10 years. We're what, 3 years into it now? 4 years into AK? I don't know, brother. I don't know. No, they're going to do it anyways and not receive any blowback on that decision. I must have missed a comment there. True. I don't know what you're saying, true, too, but I'm sure that's your facts. Those offseason workouts didn't do anything. Amar is guaranteed to while letting go of 30 points. He's mid-range. Carmelo Anthony changed my mind. Listen, there's nothing to change your mind on that. Nothing to change your mind on that, bro. Nothing. I can bull out some facts that may be able to combat it, but I can't prove you wrong. Patrick Williams had the highest plus-minus tonight. Plus-minus isn't the whole story by any stretch. Just grasping for a bright side, I guess. I mean, listen, shout out to P. Will for being active tonight. Definitely shout out to P. Will for definitely being active tonight. I was just messing with you, bro. Like my profile pic. Shout out to Lil Jabari, bro. Shout out to Lil Jabari. Haize, what do you think of the red court? I loved it. I really did. I really did like it. And I like the combination of of the jerseys on that court as well. If Pascal gets traded or hits free agency, you think the Bulls go after him? I don't know, man. But does Pascal really change much for this team? At this point, I'm not trying to say to get out your question, but I just, like I said, it's more than just skill on the court. That definitely plays a part. But to me, this team also needs a leader. I think a leader, a vocal, rah rah, let's get it together leader. Doesn't even have to be somebody who can score the most points on the team. I think changes so much for this team by that alone. By that alone. To this point as well, life is good, heaven is better. Says, you're right, brother. Pat Bev was our heartbeat for the short time he was here. Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And so it just sucks being in the spot we are right now as Bulls fans. It just sucks because this team has obvious and glaring issues. But it seems like the front office, whether it's a combination of front office, ownership, whatever, isn't prepared to move off of some of this roster because of the brief glimpse we got for 35 games in 2021-22. Right? They're so holding on to the fact that, and don't get me wrong, that team looked good. That team would have had a top 4 to 5 finish. That team probably would have pushed to maybe go to the second round. But you can't keep holding on to that. I would understand holding on to that glimpse if that glimpse was a championship glimpse. It wasn't a championship glimpse. It was just a solid Eastern Conference playoff team glimpse. And so you keep trying to hold on to that, and it's not going to get you anywhere because it was such a unique makeup that made that team work. So, listen, it just is what it is, man. It is what it is. Coach got a roll and trade either DeMar or Levine, and Vooch got to leave or have him coming off the bench. There's nobody that should be starting over Vooch right now at the center position on this team. There just isn't. Now DeMar or Levine, listen, like I said, you go with the expiring contract, in my opinion. But hey, my opinion, I'm just a guy sitting here on a podcast. Honestly, this will never happen, but the ghost of Michael Jordan is too great. This organization needs to rebrand. Who the heck can match that? Listen, we're so far past that. A lot of these players ain't never even seen Jordan play. That thing is gone. That Jordan shadow thing was cool in the early 2000s, but that ain't got nothing to do with it no more. So 5 more years of hell, trickle down, F this key in all sports organizations. If you don't see the bad talent ID in the draft roster construction, issues with Acme, incompetent ownership groups, fire him. Listen, but that ain't going, listen, again, you got to give Acme some credit for what he was able to build. But again, how you pivot off that is hugely important as well. Bench Vooch is crazy. I completely agree with you on that. Completely agree with you. JK says, Haize, what's your opinion on Bones Highland? I tried to ask him in Chicago Bulls Central, but too many people trade Zach, trade DeMar, Kobe for Hutchinson, and Denzel V. Bones, I mean, listen, Bones Highland is cool. But I mean, Bones Highland to me, he doesn't do anything that Kobe White can't and hasn't done, in my opinion. I know he's 23 years old. They're around the same age. But I don't know. I like Bones Highland. Don't get me wrong on that. But I don't think he changes the ceiling of this team at all. That not in my opinion. So, but all right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. As you can hear, my voice is out. We try to do these 15-minute post-game shows. And it is what it is, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Lazy Bean says Bones is way better than Kobe. I mean, listen, I can understand that from you as well. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. Make sure you guys stay tuned in to Locked On Bulls. We'll be back with a full episode for you on Monday. I will be here, post-game show, kind of like this, the impromptu post-game shows. So Monday through Fridays when we drop full episodes, but we're trying to always bring you guys, no matter what, even if it's not a full episode day, want to bring you guys post-game recaps. So we're trying to do these 15-minute post-game recaps on days where we don't have to do a full episode. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be back tomorrow. I may even bring on a guest, maybe Steve-O, maybe Bobby, maybe even P-Kid. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much. Go follow Locked On Bulls and hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See red. Peace, y'all.